March 28th, 2024 of the County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency. Kevin Lamontagne, could you introduce the staff members, please?
Sure. Here in the room we have Austin Wheelock, the CEO of the agency, myself and the CFO of the agency, Kevin Caracoli is the general counsel, and we have Nate Emmons, one of the staff members of Operation Oswego County.
Okay. And Tim Stahl, our secretary, could you take a roll call of the board members?
Sure. Nick Nally.
Present.
Trish Peter Clark.
Present.
Mark Racco. Here. Glenn Schick. Present. Install. I am here. Gary Toth.
Here.
And Barry Trimble is excused.
Okay.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes of the February 29th meetings, everyone had a chance to review them, see them on the portal.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Tricia, Glenn. Any discussion? Comments? All those in favor of passing the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Notice the meeting was in Pal Times on the 14th. Treasurer's report. Someone like to move the treasurer's report. So moved. Gary. I'll second. Mark. Any questions, any information on that, Kevin, that we need to?
Yeah, just a few highlights. You have I emailed out the report earlier this week. We have started to receive pilot payments with our January pilots. Now here at the end of March, of course, received quite a few pilot payments this month. The bulk of the pilot payments aren't reflected in these statements because these are, of course, at the end of February. But you can see, for example, in we flip the page, I guess it's page 3, right at the top, pilots payable to taxing authorities. So we had received some pilot money that was yet to be remitted to the taxing authorities. We have 30 days. We get the checks, let them clear, and then we immediately remit. We don't hold or anything, but of course at any given month end, this time of year, there's some payable to the taxing authorities. On income statement, we have, flipping to the next page, about a quarter of the way from the bottom is the pilot 2770.4 pilot share with county. You're starting to see the 10% of the county share of the pilots coming into our income statement. That's for everything we received through end of February.
Okay.
Which is just a couple of pilots. So that's on the revenue side for the agency. On the same page for the income statement, we've been saying we're kind of catching up to last year with some closings, and that those for the most part occurred. We're still pacing a little behind where we'd like to be at last year, but we do also still have some projects that will close this fiscal year. Potentially a few that would previously been approved. Dowdrop could be one of them. ACLS, which we still have to do a final approval on, hold a public hearing here probably by the next meeting. Would possibly close by, most likely would close by July 31st based on their project time frame. We have the LaChase project connected to ConnectScare to close. So there are some other projects that will close.
Market House wasn't reflected in this number in February, but then they closed in March, so
Yeah.
that will be reflected in the March numbers.
Yeah, good point. So I think we'll see. I think with that collection of projects, including Market House, we'll be actually closing ahead of last year fee income.
Quick question on farm lease. Is that from the end of last year, or is that from the beginning?
It is, yep. That's the 2023 seasonal payment made after again, when did we get that? October maybe?
So what's our game plan for that this year? Is he gonna plant?
So depending on our schedule, I think that we're looking to still plant with him, and we would have to coordinate if there's any activities that need to be taken on the site, pre-construction or other services. We can work that out, and if we need to reimburse him for any lost crops, we can do that. But based on the season, I don't foresee that getting in the way of that.
Okay.
I have just a quick question. According to this, we paid about $2,500 a year in Columbia Mills, taxes for Columbia Mills. Is that
It's special district,
That's
yeah,
okay, so-
correct, yep. So for any, well, I don't want to generalize, but for down there we do pay. There'll be special district charges sooner or later for the land in Scruple also. I think they'll connect it. In Scruple, for example, there's a special industrial park special district charge, which I'm sure our new property, IDA's new property at some point will get tagged into that. Let's see, and then other properties as well.
Those would make a little more sense as we're actively using them, developing them, just because Columbia Mills has been vacant for so long.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious about
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So, Is that something that's just set up based on the value of it, or where does that
It's
come out?
probably fire protection.
Yeah, I think.
Based on the assessed value of the property, there's a, no, even if a property is exempted by the IDA or under a pilot agreement, it's still required to pay special district taxes. So anything under a pilot agreement is also pays special district
Okay.
taxes.
So assessment based on the value of that
Land
property
value.
because of how many acres or
Correct.
whatever, even though we have nothing there and, if there were a fire, it would,
I believe it's assessed at around $1 million.
I call it EPA, but.
it might actually be better for the property, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the financials?
Nothing for me, Nick. Thank you.
We've got a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, Allen Chase Enterprises.
I'd actually like to move this just because Alan may come in to
We'll hold off on that.
provide a presentation on it, so let's hold it off for a bit, and if he doesn't come in, then Kevin can
Yeah.
make that
We'll just do it
presentation.
right before executive session, maybe, if he's not
Okay.
here.
Red Braid Properties, number 5, Biospheres.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take this one. This is what Biospheres is, if you don't know, it's the company, Randy Yurden, he and his company bought the former elementary school in the village of Parrish, and this was some years back, about 10 years ago, roughly, and converted that school to a manufacturing and R&D facility for their clean room. They make small, like tabletop type clean room apparatus, primarily for pharmaceutical industry. So that has been going on there. Randy is part of his succession plan, has sold the company. We've talked a little bit about this, I think, toward the end of last year. We looked at it at the end of last year. Randy has made some arrangements to sell his business to a European-based holding company that has other companies in similar kind of tangentially related products in this kind of clean room space, and so it seems to fit with their mission. He sold the operating company, hasn't closed yet, but and Randy will hold on to the real estate and continue to lease it to the new operating company that the acquirer will form. They'll still use the Biospheres name. It's a small name change, keeping the same EIN number, same operation. Austin and I have been in touch with the CEO of this, basically a private equity group out of UK, and he assures us that they plan to continue operations. In fact, they're looking at bringing production, North American-based production for one of their European subsidiaries into Parrish and actually expand the activity there. And of course, as many acquirers of companies assume, they think they'll be able to drive more business through the Biospheres product line as well. So we'll see continue to monitor that, see what comes from it. They have a new CEO hired to replace Randy, who's moving into kind of normal and planned retirement out of Rochester. So while not local, we still, someone nearby that will be running that business. So we'll connect with that person once he comes on board here after the closing. So the matter in front of us is to consent. There isn't a leaseback structure in place because the property is under a pilot. It's under a 20-year pilot, roughly halfway through. Like we've dealt with before, when companies sell and different things, we have to consent to various aspects. In this case, we're consenting the lease that the IDA is a party to, the lease and the lease back. We require consent to lease to a new entity, and since there's this ownership change and a slight name change, they've asked us to consider consent to this change, and we recommend it. We think this is a smooth transition, as it seems now. With any company, you don't know what the future brings, but here we have an acquirer with assets and some know-how in the industry coming in and with plans to keep things going or even increase the activity in Paris. So it seems like a reasonable thing to do.
We've
So-
discussed initial opportunities to identify programs and things for them if that expansion project does take place. Obviously, it's not specific to this. We're not holding it to this, but we've had those initial conversations and we feel pretty confident about their ability to take over this business and to grow it.
Yeah. So today we're consenting to the lease to Biospheres LLC, which will be the new operating company name. The same entity really, but just renamed.
I can make that motion if that'd be okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Mark. Any discussion on the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
Item number number 6, Filtration Lab USA, consent to refinance.
Yeah, another consent here. This is also a property in a pilot agreement, in good standing with us. It's a Filtration Lab USA is a Northland Filter that operates in the Lake Ontario Industrial Park here in the city of Oswego. 4 years ago, they purchased a building that OOC sold to them. It was some transactions related to the IDA with the land and different things when that was done, but in the end, the building was sold and OOC had a loan from the IDA. OOC has paid that loan back with the proceeds from Northland Filter and the real estate holding company, Filtration Lab USA. So that at the end of so there was a 4-year mortgage held by OOC with a large balloon payment due here in August of 2024. OOC has agreed to extend that mortgage for 4 more years to basically allow them to term out to pay down the loan over normal principal and interest terms. OOC was able to negotiate a higher interest rate, which will benefit OOC. So that has been approved by OOC's executive committee and board last week. But because the property is under a pilot, like we do with any refinancing, we basically, even though OOC is is a company we know well, it'd be much like the bank, Pathfinder Bank, wanting to refinance a project, or any bank in this case. In this case, OOC is the bank. So this body needs to look at consenting to the refinancing, like we often do. So we've been in touch regularly with Northland Filter, and they're progressing there. They've struggled, as many have, with employments. There's more business if they could get more employees, and like other manufacturers are certainly doing and looking at, one of the items they're doing is investing quite heavily in some automation to help use their existing staff to be able to increase output and meet the needs of the market. So they've been working with Austin, I think a couple of years ago, got them hooked up with CNY TDO, and they've been working with that agency and have made some significant investments in equipment out there, which they're working on getting up and running and into the production scheme of their building. So
They've invested about $1.2 million in automation equipment. We actually helped them to get a grant through the state to pay for a 20% portion of that project. But because this investment in automation, they told us that, hey, listen, our initial plan was to pay off the balloon that was due, but because we're making this automation investment, we don't have the cash to do that. So can we refinance and extend this out? And it's a good deal for all around. So it's just something we're coming to ask for consent to make sure that we don't forget something as part of the process. And I think Kevin Kirkholey kind of let us know, hey, this is something we need to do as part of this.
Holding ourselves to our own standards.
Yeah.
When they do these payment structures the way they did that one, what was the purpose of doing with the kind of the short term with the balloon as opposed to a longer term originally?
I guess something. I'd love to give you my opinions offline. I don't know. It was done without neither Austin nor I was involved. It's a tough position to put an economic development agency in to have a balloon, because the pressure to refinance it,
I
and
can
just
tell
the
you-
obligated refinance. It's much like a bank almost has that pressure too.
That makes sense.
So the company was leasing the facility and they were making payments, fixed payments in a certain amount per month. And what they wanted to do was take those payments and convert them from a lease payment into a mortgage payment. And so based on the terms and the interest in that's what led to the balloon at the end of it. So they wanted to keep their payments the same. And we've actually structured this so that their payments going forward will be the same, but it will pay this off in 48 months.
So they'll have that building paid off in 8 years, which is remarkable.
So we're not just pushing the balloon down.
This is
Yeah, to pay
fully
off,
amortizing
fully
it.
term out.
Perfect.
And had they not invested in the automation, they would have paid
Yeah.
the loan out. So they.
So in a way, this is
It's a
supporting
decision.
that effort, which is
Sure, makes sense.
keeping them viable and improving their quality too, it sounds like, for some of these machines.
Okay. Any other discussion? We get a motion on this?
I'll make
Second. Mark and Len, any discussion by the board? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, Novellis IDA EFRAP rail grant.
Yeah, so I believe everybody remembers back in the fall of last year, the IDA was approached by Novellis to see if we would partner with them to apply on their behalf for a grant through New York State Department of Transportation. We had agreed to do that, and we found out 2 weeks ago to the day, actually, that the grant was approved at the full amount of $2,787,000 to do this $3.5 million project. So we are excited. We're working with Novellus. We actually have a meeting with them later today to kind of go through next steps and to sort of just kind of go to the next part of contract award and work with them through the process of completing the project. So for just to remind everyone what this was, is a $3.5 million project so that they could make track improvements and turnouts on the site, so they could accommodate longer rail cars, because what they're doing is they're going to actually load these rail cars with ingots that are going to be forged down in Kentucky and then loaded and delivered directly to the site from their Kentucky site. So right now they're getting about 5,000 trucks a year coming primarily from Canada, and this is going to reduce that, not necessarily to zero, but it's going to reduce it quite a bit, which will help them environmentally and make them more cost competitive and keep more aluminum production domestic to the U.S. instead of having to rely on a Canadian company to do that. So
would that greatly increase the rail traffic, or?
I believe it will increase rail traffic for sure. In terms of we're talking about mapping where that's going to go. So obviously it's going to come north from Kentucky, and then it's going to come up parallel to 481, and then it's going to take an east jog here right before the city and kind of go out to the plant out there.
Today there's 2 trains a week generally up to basically to the port, and this per Novellus this would increase that to 4 or 5, once a day, or 4 days a week or 5 days a week, one train.
Yeah.
So they're going to the port or going to?
They're going all the way to Novellus's plant. So,
Yeah.
But today this basically trains to the port.
Okay.
Or a couple of cars.
Is this going to decrease traffic through the port, or is it replacing mostly truck traffic?
This is replacing mostly truck traffic that goes directly to Novellus.
The ingots we see at the port come in, as we know, to the port, but they are other alloys. These are what these train cars will carry are very large ingots that weigh 60 or 80,000 pounds each, one per truck kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
You see them; they come through all day long. So,
Okay.
So it shouldn't greatly impact the port's activities. Like I said, it's mostly taking stuff that's coming down 81 and then getting off and going to Novellus.
Any effect to our local trucking industry?
I don't believe so, because this is typically stuff that's not getting unloaded locally.
Okay.
It's stuff that's going directly to the plant.
and this is anecdotal because I'm a resident of Sandy Creek, and I drive past these trucks every day on Route 3 to work. So they're not American; they're Canadian trucks, Canadian truckers. They're very nice rigs. So someone will be upset if they lose this business, but it's not local.
Yeah.
And I can't say for sure. It could be Laser Trans that handles this from time to time, but primarily they're Canadian trucking.
What is the financial requirements of this organization? Anything? Is it just application only?
No, so we're going to do the administrative work on the grant, and Novellus has agreed to reimburse us for any costs associated with the administrative fees related to the project. So nothing else really on that, just really
Nothing
an
to
update.
vote on that.
Nothing to vote on. We've already voted on it, just to give you the update and to say we got it, and now the hard work starts.
Okay. Item number 8, industrial park expansion grant application.
Yeah, so around the same time last fall, the IDA also had applied for what's called the Economic Development Administration Public Works and Economic Adjustment Act grant. We have been in several conversations with them in the past month and a half. They had a new regional director that came in back in, I would say, in early 24. They were formally approved, but there was really nobody from the end of September until that time. So this application, while it was looked at, it wasn't really looked at in detail. And so what has happened in the last couple weeks is EDA said, hey, we like your project. We think it's a better fit in our general public works program. And the public works program is a 50-50 grant. So the grant that we had, the application we had put in was for an 80-20. It was 80% EDA, 20% match. So they have asked us to be able to move forward with this public works program to increase the local match to match. Now, as we remember in the past, the IDA has already committed $2.5 million to the development of the industrial park, so it's not necessarily an issue of putting more money towards the project. It's just in terms of for this specific grant that getting the authorization from the board to increase the IDA's matching funds from $1 million to $2.5 million. So it's and then we can put that back in and make some additional tweaks on the application. I will say that this is probably the third and a half time that I've had to make a major modification to this grant. But you know, if there's $2.5 million at the end of the day, then it's worth the work. So so at this point, really, what we're asking is authorization from the board to increase the local match for the EDA grant from $1 million to $2.5 million.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments? So this is basically reallocating money we'd already allocated for other
Yes.
purposes? Or?
Yeah, we had already done $2.5 million. If you remember back when we did the Build Back Better Regional Challenge, we had the IDA had initially allocated $2.5 million as the local match for that project. Since this was specifically related to public infrastructure costs only, construction costs only, they reduced down our project cost from what that original Build Back Better was. Which had site readiness and some other things in it that they said, hey, listen, that's not specific to our program. Let's just look at this. So, and then also based on their recommendation, they said, well, if this is a $5 million project, we can do 80%. So you guys should only provide a local match of $1 million. Now they've come back and changed that because of the new program they want us to do. So it's not any new money at this time.
And because we didn't get the Build Back Better, we're not double committing funds from.
No,
that,
we're not double
It's
committing
uncommitted
funds.
anywhere else as well.
Correct.
Okay. Nothing we need to authorize the increase of this?
Yes.
Alright, so we've got the motion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. EDC Economic Development Conference, sponsorship.
Sure. So in May, the end of May, the New York State Economic Development Council is going to have their annual conference in Cooperstown. I think it's May 22nd to 24th. I will be attending. We may have additional staff attending as well. In the past, we have sponsored this event. What we are looking to do this time around is have a $1,500 sponsorship from both Operation Oswego County and the IDA together. That actually gets us a better package, will allow us to get more space in terms of in the program for the event, as well as other perks associated with it. One of them including being reserving a space at the Otesaga down in Cooperstown, which is very difficult to get in for this event. So what we're asking, the Operation Oswego County Executive Committee has already approved $1,500. We are asking the IDA to match with an additional $1,500 to get us at the $3,000 level sponsorship, but being able to split it across both organizations. And in all of this will actually help us to we'll be listed twice in terms of as sponsors, both Operation Oswego County and the IDA, and then in our print ad, it will show them as partners on it, is Operation Oswego County and the IDA. So it's a nice thing. I think that this is an event that different developers and projects go to from around the state, as well as other economic development organizations and supporting organizations. So I know this year there's going to be a heavy emphasis related looking at the semiconductor industry as well as other advanced manufacturing. It's a good group to support, and it's a good event to have our name on.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Mark?
second.
Tricia? Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Austin, are we
Yeah.
gonna have a presence down there other than just advertising?
So
Like, you being there?
Yeah.
A booth or just,
typically
something
the
where-
economic development organizations don't set up booths. The booths are set up by like business service professionals, like and attorney groups and things like that. It's not necessarily the economic development organizations themselves have that, but we'll be taking part in all of the events, that the seminars, workshops, other events that are there, networking that's going to happen over both evenings. One of them is being sponsored by National Grid, and another one is being sponsored by a group out of Albany. I can't remember the name of it right now, but no, so we won't have a booth there, but that's not atypical. Typically, economic development organizations do not have booths.
about some promotional materials? No.
We'll have that for sure.
I
Yeah,
was
we'll be
gonna say
bringing
with
that.
Alex, especially
Yeah.
now, that's a great
Yeah.
opportunity for us to do that and have her grants.
That's always good.
Absolutely, yep. And she'll actually be developing sort of the logo, the mutual logo of Operation Oswego County and the IDA to be used in the print ad. So,
I mean, Austin, for example, you brought that one pager down to that other conference.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Like something to give
mhm.
site selectors.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we'll definitely have collateral that we'll be bringing down that's specific to Oswego County and the assets that we have and things like the expanded industrial park, the Riverview Business Park expansion, and some other projects we're working on.
We thought about maybe IDA OC koozies. And,
What would, can I get a like a koozie gun at the same time? One way down there.
T-shirt cannon.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Anything else?
That's it related to that.
Anybody else got any questions or? So we've got a motion on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Support services agreement with,
Okay, so this is something, so those who are also on the Oswego County Civic Facility Corporation, this isn't new. This actually isn't new to the IDA as well. This is an agreement that was originally entered into last year by the IDA. So, give a little background. The Oswego County Civic Facilities Corporation, to date, is an organization that has done one project several years ago. And because of that, the income stream for that organization is limited. Our auditors, which is Grossman St. Amour, same auditors that the IDA uses, has told us that due to the limited activity that organization has done to date, that they cannot give us a clean audit because there's no sustainable income stream to cover the cost of audits and other things. So what they have requested us to do, and this is what the IDA had done last year, is to enter into a support service agreement with the IDA, which in essence means the IDA would cover their costs in the event that the Civic Facility Corporation did not have the funding to do that. The IDA did that last year, which goes through the end of this year. What our auditors have asked us to do to issue us another clean audit for the Civic Facility Corporation is to extend that service agreement for an additional 2 years to go from January 1, 25 through the end of 26. So nothing has changed related to the terms of the agreement other than just looking to extend it for an additional 2 years. Now, I will also say that the Civic Facility Corporation is currently working on a project which would generate new fees, which probably would be able to cover the organization's expenses for several years. So this is sort of more of a backup safety net in the event that the organization does not have funding to cover its bills. At this time, it has funding to cover its bills for this year, but if without having another project done, that would potentially be in jeopardy. So this is Plan B. Obviously, we don't want to have to use it, but we need it to have that clean bill of health for the audit for Grossman St. Amour.
and this outlines that the IDA and OOC staff will do the work for the facilities corp, or is it?
We don't really have, I shouldn't say that way. There is no support, like staffing agreement with the Civic Facilities Corp at this time, Nick. So OOC does the staffing, of course, but
There's nothing.
Well, it
Yeah,
does
right.
say support services to be rendered by.
no,
Yeah.
true.
So there's
Yeah, it does have
nothing
that, yeah.
there. It's generic.
But like there is,
It's not detailed.
Right.
I would think if we got to the point where.
We're covered is all I'm saying.
Yeah, we are.
If ever got to the point though where this became, we're doing 3 of these a year,
Mhm.
I'm assuming there'd be a different agreement with,
absolutely.
Yeah.
and
So-
something directly with OOC, I would expect.
And we've talked about that. That's sort of the goal is to get the organization self-sustaining, and then get the organization to be supportive to Operation Oswego County and the other partners.
It's really more of a financial support service agreement.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Civic Facilities Corporation is a separate, distinct legal entity, right? Doesn't have any employees, but doesn't have the money currently to sustain itself long term. So they're really just providing some financial services.
2 years is an appropriate amount of time for this.
Yeah, and as Austin said, it probably is likely going to be a moot point, and the agreement's gonna be in place, but never have to utilize it, at least for the foreseeable future.
And this really only says that the So the IDA, by entering into this, doesn't mean that they will automatically start paying the Civic Facility Corporation bills. It means that they would pay the bills if the Civic Facility Corporation did not have the funds to pay the bills. So as of right now, they still have the funds to pay their bills. So this is, like I said, this is the safety net in the event that that is not the case.
I'll move it.
Second. Gary and Len, I have one question, is there any liability as far as, if any, some kind of a extreme liability happens to that there's no exposure as far as that goes, right?
No, again, the Civic Facilities Corporation is a separate, distinct legal entity, actually formed under the not-for-profit law, so there is some built-in protections there. The individual members are not exposed unless they did something willfully in violation of the law, which won't happen. So beyond that, no, there's really no exposure.
Is that because we really spelled out what types of things will back up? It says the authorization of services is very specific to ABO requirements, to audit stuff. If there was some large expense that this entity all of a sudden got, I don't know what that would look like, but maybe some sort of a huge expense, maybe sue, I don't know what it would look like, but this agreement wouldn't require us to cover the losses because it's very specific to what we will cover, correct?
Right, exactly. It's the support service, particularly as it relates to compliance,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So ADO compliance, parish reporting, things of that nature. New York State AG's office.
Yeah, it's specifically called out in number 1, which says to costs associated with complying with the requirements of the ABO and other statutory requirements.
That's money, that's financial,
Correct.
but what about the work that's OC's providing?
So
I mean, that's not addressed.
it's not specifically, but other than the information data gathering to hand over to the accountants are generally coming in and auditing the books, right?
You know, they do field work.
But the civic facility still has to file with the ABO and all that.
Right.
So someone's gotta be doing that work.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's being taken on by Operations Oswego County staff at this time.
Right.
Yep.
Right,
And we're not requesting reimbursement for those costs at this time.
okay.
So I think, but to your point, is there an agreement that creates that relationship
Right.
between operations?
Right, I mean, technically, Operation Oswego County could bill the civic facilities, and the civic facilities would have the money at this point in time to reimburse, right?
That's I would say based on the current status, we're not looking to do that. I think when the organization is in a more sustainable format, that could be the case. But as of now, it would not be.
So they're really provided as an in-kind service or
Right.
support at this time.
I just wanna make sure, that it doesn't get into a point where, oh, wait a minute now, we're doing all this work and, cause we had talked about, the difference with the IDA work and OOC work, how much time is being spent, we went through that.
Yep.
Okay.
I think if it gets a little more active, just my sense, I think Austin and Kevin feel the same way, then that's another discussion to have.
Yeah.
Right now and for the last 10 years of this.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've had
Yeah.
one
Really, 13 years.
one
The organization
project
was
and
created in
another
2010.
one in the hopper.
Yeah, I
And
know,
that's, 13 years.
okay.
Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, just one question, I haven't read through this thoroughly, but, seems we're partnered with the county on the civic facilities. Is there anything for support services or anything as a county's share of what is done on the civic facilities?
Not currently. There's no contract with the county for civic facilities to provide income stream related to the organization. I think partially was related to in the past that there wasn't activity taking place, so there wasn't a need to do that. That could be something that could be addressed in the future, but I think that there need to be a,
The exposure's not very significant at this point, so it's not worth going
Yeah,
down
but
there.
it's still something that should be considered, even though our exposure now isn't, but who knows 6 months from now.
Yeah, and just for because I know a lot of people may not have the history of why the Civic Facility Corporation exists, so civic facility corporations were required in New York State like around 2009, 2010, and these were actually activities that used to be done by IDAs. IDAs in the past would be able to issue tax exempt bonds for not-for-profit projects. So we had done projects like OCO, like the OCO building down in Fulton, library in the past. Before that was the ability to do that was not allowed anymore, and several other projects. We did stuff for Oswego Health, for Oswego Hospital. So there's still that sort of this Civic Facility Corporation is now taking on the mission of a piece of what the IDA used to do, which is why the IDA has been involved to date related to this. But I do agree, Gary. I think that would be something to address, seeing that this is really a corporation created by and in essence owned by the county.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. OOC Oswego County Manufacturing Summit.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but I'm going to turn it over to Nate because this is something that he's kind of really helped in his short time here, and Alex's very short time here have helped to kind of birth this summit as well as other ones that we are planning. So Operation Oswego County, along with several other of our partners, including Oswego County Workforce Development Board, Oswego County Workforce New York, and the Train Development and Optimize, which is a workforce group out of the Syracuse area that covers the region, have created an event which is going to take place on April 17th called the Summit. It's a manufacturing summit for Oswego County manufacturers. It is going to be an event from 11:30 to 3, and it's going to really be 3 main panel discussions on incentives available to manufacturers, workforce programs available to manufacturers, and financing programs. So, and really with the aim of trying to identify programs that they may not know exist or that have had changes that maybe they weren't aware of, and to try to really make sure our manufacturing sector is taking advantage of all the programs that are available to them, both locally and regionally and statewide. So we have about 11 different speakers that are going to be taking part of that, which we are one of them, both Operation Oswego County and the IDA, as well as Empire State Development, National Grid, several workforce partners, and other sort of incentive programs. So, and Nate, like I said, Nate and Alex have been instrumental in putting this together in terms of invites, putting together all of the dealing with getting the space, and the public relations part of it. So I'm excited. I think this is a great program. This is something I think we would like to try to do every year going forward. Trying to really expand our business outreach activities, not just in more of a, bringing all sorts, and it's not just in terms of one-on-one business outreach activities. It's bringing together all these different manufacturers in the same place so they can also talk to each other, because that's not really happening either. So we're trying to create opportunities for our manufacturing sector to, one, learn about stuff, but then learn from them all at the same time. So it's a great event for that, and I'll turn it over to Nate because I think there's also another event that we're looking to do that.
Yeah, so this is kind of part of a evolving series of summits, all called the Summit, but with a different focus. So the second one that's in the works, being planned for right now, will happen in October, and it's a small business summit. So same format, similar format. The manufacturing summits here in town, over at the Riverview Banquet Room. The small business summit will actually be up at Tailwater. But same sort of format, same sort of different, obviously, in terms of content with small businesses. But again, just a nice opportunity to bring local businesses together to get information, to share information. Certainly, grants will be part of that, but for small businesses, other things like marketing, communications, those sorts of best practices in terms of presentations. We're hoping, somewhere between 60 and 80 for the manufacturing summit. We think that's a reasonable goal to meet. We'll probably have a few more for the small business summit. And then the third one, maybe a little bit more nebulous right now, but is a tourism and sort of agribusiness summit, maybe in January or February of 25, and I know Dave Turner's a little excited about that.
Mhm.
Austin let the cat out of the bag ever so slightly, and Dave's like, yes! So, you know, I think now that it's been whispered, we probably actually have to do that. But that would be kind of the 3 summits every year, right? Tourism and agritourism, manufacturing, and small business, and hitting, you know, some of our main sectors of economic growth and development in county. All county focused. It's great. We're excited.
Really what we're trying to do is maximize the amount of businesses that are taking advantage of programs that are out there available to all businesses, and we just want to make sure that Oswego County businesses are getting their fair share and then some in terms of utilizing programs at the state level and local level. So something that I think coming out of COVID is a great opportunity for us to get back out there and more aggressively show that we are a leader in the county and for our business community.
Allison, just a quick one. Have you ever participated in the Tug Hill conferences?
I haven't. So I go to the North Shore Council of Governments meetings, not monthly, almost every month, and that's part of the Tug Hill Commission. They're one of the groups that comes out of it. There's also a Salmon River related one as well. That's how I participate in it, and that takes place in West Monroe for the most part. Sometimes they move it around from place to place, but it's always in Oswego County in the North Shore.
It's really, on May 1st, they're having an infrastructure roundtable,
Mhm.
you know, at the Turning Stone. Now, I don't have the agenda for it. I don't know if it's going to be talking about funding, marketing, but the towns and villages are going to be attending, the ones that really want to.
It's a good idea. I mean, I'll talk to Katie Malinowski about that and see. I mean, that might be something to also have the county at the table as well.
I think David is
Okay.
planning on that.
Okay.
We can circle back around.
Okay. And you know, I know this is sort of off topic a little bit, but related to the North Shore Council of Governments, they recently had an economic resiliency plan that was completed, and which we helped participate in, and there's been some really good results coming out of that. One of the main things that we had identified to them is, you know, no one knows your communities and your sites as well as you do. Help us to identify 3 to 4 sites in each of your communities, which would be ideal development sites for residential, commercial, and industrial. And so that's something that's going on right now. We're also doing some outreach with them related to some of our small business lending and incentive programs. So I think that we're, especially in an area out there on the eastern end of the county, which, you know, feels that, hey, they're a little further away from where services are. I think we're doing putting out additional efforts to make sure they're aware and we can help any and all businesses out that way.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? This is basically informational at this point,
Yep.
right? Okay. You wanted to go back to Alan Chase, or?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
So we're back to number 4. As you can see on the agenda, it's an initial resolution. So the company here is Allen Chase Enterprises, which is a locally owned company operating in Scriba out near the power plant. And Allen Chase Enterprises specializes in roadside maintenance, clearing of vegetation, and other services kind of for the industrial market. So working with DOTs, the utilities, helping to keep transmission lines clear, other projects, and kind of related things to that. They're licensed herbicide and pesticide applicators, these kinds of services. This company has grown in the past with our support. We have helped Allen Chase Enterprises in the past with a sales tax exemption only project in 2016 to help them expand. So what they do is they have a fleet of very specialized vehicles. There's, to my knowledge, about 200 registered DMV registered vehicles that the company owns, and then 100 or more additional pieces of equipment that aren't registered, things that tow or go on the back of flatbeds. And they get contracts to do this type of service work. The last time we helped Allen Chase, the project was in a sense called the Northeast expansion. So they're reaching outside certainly of New York State to provide these services. Currently as far away as Iowa, and so they do services in Iowa. They load up Oswego employees on trucks, flatbeds, a plane, and get the crew out there with the equipment and do the work. They continue to look at contracts in other states and some of the potential businesses as far away as Georgia. Allen Chase Enterprise has 2 kind of remote offices, which are very simple. essentially picture a gas station with a couple of bays. It's a place to park and to maybe service a vehicle when they're on the road. But this is very much a Scriba-based business, although they do have a handful of employees in other states. Right now, the scale of this is quite impressive. Not just the number of vehicles, but in the summertime, they employ 110 people. 25 of their employees are year-round full-time, and 85 are seasonal full-time. And again, many of them are. Well, I couldn't tell you how many, but there are people that hold the licenses to apply some of these substances, and of course drive that as CDL license and so forth. So with the business potential at hand, what Alan Chase plans to do with his company is just basically continue to look for opportunities in the east of the Mississippi region and use his business model of basically a migrant workforce out of Oswego or out of Scriba to go do these jobs. The job in Georgia, I wish Alan was here today to explain it better than I can, but he's on his way.
He's on his way to answer questions.
Gotcha. It's a case of it rarely snows in Florida, so snow is forecasted. This Alan Chase Enterprises would load up their trucks, get on the plane, go down to Georgia, and then apply salt ahead of a snowstorm, and then come back to New York, come back to Scriba. It's a very interesting business. They buy, if they have a yard out by Novellis, you see a lot of kind of zombie trucks out there and burned carcasses and things. They buy demolished or damaged vehicles, rebuild them in their shop, and put them back into service. So there's a kind of rebuilding and manufacturing component as well as the commercial services. So what Alan Chase Enterprises has applied for, together with the real estate holding company that you see on the agenda, they've applied for another package of support from the IDA to continue to help them expand into this next phase of a further growth. They expect their Oswego County employment to grow by 10 year-round full-time and 20 seasonal full-time with this project, and they plan to invest $4.25 million. So this project, and we'll get into details with the cost-benefit analysis at a later meeting, but this one will it'd be sales tax only. They're not looking for a pilot. They will be doing some work on their current buildings and also expanding their office, most likely their office today is a modular unit. They're most likely to use another modular unit, but try to kind of dress them up and make them more attractive. Alan Chase is also looking to purchase some property across the street at some point, and there may be another building project that might be another project for us in the future, but right now he's looking for support in the tune of $4 million of taxable purchases and sales tax exemption related to that. So motor vehicles, registered licensed motor vehicles, and the equipment that goes on them, basically, as well as furniture and fixtures and improvements to the buildings. So it's a note as again, no pilot. He's looking for sales tax exemptions only. Today, it's an initial resolution, just like any other pilot type project, and if approved today, that would authorize a public hearing. We hold a public hearing, and most likely, due to his time frame, we'd be on the agenda next month for approval. And Alan is on his way, so if there are detailed questions.
Should we wait to vote until after Alan gets here?
I'd like to know what your recommendation is, you did say.
Oh, I certainly recommend approval. I think with the scale of this business, and the number of the people they employ, the nature of it is many of them are seasonal. I think it's one that's grown substantially, and Alan shared figures with me and things. It's grown substantially in the last couple of years with our help in the past, and I think our help now will help them into the next decade. So
one of the things I look at a project like this too is that while it's service and specialty service, the fact that they're going out of state so much and getting money from other states and bringing it back, it's almost like exporting, because you're taking it outside of money and bringing it back to Oswego County, much like a manufacturer who exports and brings back funding, from other places. So it's interesting from that perspective, and I think that the growth of the business is going to be primarily outside of doing projects outside of New York State with local labor. So pretty cool project.
So that said, what's the board's sense on this? Want to wait until Alan answers the
I think
questions?
we can, unless
Yeah,
there's
move it.
mission, then yeah, I think so.
Alright,
It's
motion by Gary,
I'll second.
second by Tim. Any other discussion?
One
I was
other-
gonna say, this Alan Chase's business far exceeded what he expected, what he planned on.
absolutely did.
Barry Trimble worked with him, managed the company for about, he ran the company for about 6-7 years, maybe longer. And Barry just did a tremendous job and just, setting up contracts, going out of state, going like Ohio,
Mhm.
Iowa, down to the Carolinas to Georgia, and they were just scrambling to keep up.
One other thing I want to add, and obviously the fact that we're bringing it to you is implied that it's eligible, but I also want to state that this project has been reviewed by our bond counsel at Barclay Damon, and they've determined the project to be eligible. So that's part of what we need to do with this initial resolution to determine the project eligibility, set a public hearing, and then our next step would be to hold those approving resolutions at a future meeting. So it's an eligible project based on council's opinion.
So when we do something, just generally speaking, like this, where it's not a typical pilot, right? We're just looking at the sales tax exemption. Is that a different review process? It's not seen as, I mean, do we still have to let all the taxing authorities know, or is it done differently?
That's about the only difference. So there's still, of course, the same application, thorough review in-house, and then at Barclay Damon at the app. We're coordinating. In this case, the planning board has already looked at this project and approved it, so that's been coordinated. Just sort of, we synchronize with the planning board. That's always our intent, so that we would do that as well, even though there's not a pilot. And the main difference is that since we aren't exempting any taxes that the local taxing jurisdictions benefit from, other than sales tax, we don't notice it. So it's the notice is related to the pilot and the property tax
Right,
exemption.
okay.
The notice is not related to sales tax. Like we've discussed in this room before, how much of a sales tax exemption would this company really be Oswego County sales taxes? It's hard to say. Not certainly the DMV part would, because it would follow the company back here, but equipment and other wrecked vehicles that may not be DMV titled anymore, may not, most likely wouldn't be purchased in Oswego County, the bulk of them.
This doesn't cover titling fees or anything like that, right?
No,
This is just purely-
it's the sales tax part. Yeah. So if you bought a truck somewhere, brought and registered it, he'd be exempt from that. Sales tax being paid over the counter at DMV or at the dealer.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We want to stay out of executive session until Alan gets here? Or we want to go in and take over?
We could always talk to Alan in executive session, especially if he's sharing stuff about his business.
Okay. Is he here?
Can I just get who was the motion and second for that?
Gary and
Gary.
Gary.
Or Gary and Tim.
Gary and Tim. Okay, thank you.
Which the official minutes will show. If you can read my hand.
So then let's, it looks like the next two items need to be handled in executive session. Kevin, can you tell us why?
Yep, so this is, two reasons. One is, there's some pending, litigation that we need to discuss. Additionally, it's to discuss the, personal financial information of a particular individual or corporation.
Okay. That's it. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Mark,
I'll second.
Tricia,
That's probably
He's here.
It's right there.
sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now in executive
Okay, we're live.
I'd like to request a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Len and Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're out of executive session at 11:12. We need a motion to approve the delinquent loan report.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Tim and Tricia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to request a motion to approve Austin putting out an RFP for a housing study for the county.
I'll move it.
Len,
I'll second.
Tricia? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do other business first, or any other business?
I think we just have the item 14 on here that we need to deal with, yeah. And then we can do the next meeting after that.
Okay. We have, the last meeting for technically 3 of our members. 2 have been serving for significant time on this board, and.
Significant or insignificant?
Serving the county well for many years, and it will be sorely missed, both of you. It's been a pleasure for myself to serve with you, and we've had many lengthy discussions on different topics, and everyone provides a different perspective, and you guys bring very valuable perspective to every discussion that we have. And you, from my perspective, you'll be missed. And thank you both for all the time and effort you put into service for economic development for our county in the past couple of decades. And it's a testament to your valuation of the community that you live in, and it's largely goes unnoticed in a lot of ways. And we'd like to recognize you both with some plaques today, thanking you for your service. Len and Gary, thank you. Can't thank you enough. I've learned a lot from both of you on how to handle things going forward, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Just for those who obviously don't see what the plaque says, it's from the County Oswego Industrial Development Agency with our greatest appreciation to Gary Toth and to H. Leonard Schick in recognition of your outstanding commitment to enhance the economic vitality of Oswego County's businesses, industries, communities, and citizens by serving on the board of directors of the County Oswego Industrial Development Agency. Gary for 26 years and Len for 18 years. Proclaimed today, March 28th, 2024.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, been learning. I often wish that the community knew more about what the IDA does, because I didn't know until I got on the board, and people don't really understand how beneficiary the IDA has been over the years. I mean, all the development, without a strong IDA, this county would not be where it is today. And so it's been great. I've appreciated my little part that I've been able to do for the county.
That's more than a little part.
Thank you, Len.
Do I get to vote no on something?
You're voting on, you stepping down.
And I just also want to state, because we didn't say it before, that we have received letters of resignation from Gary, Len, and Barry.
Retirement.
Yeah, retirement, effective Sunday, March 31st of 2024. And it was also action taken by the IDA, or not by the IDA, but by the county. And earlier this month, and this was in collaboration, this wasn't anything that was done, that Gary, Len, and Barry had expressed an interest for a while to want to step down, and the county, we work with the county to identify 3 new board members. So at our meeting in April, 3 new IDA board members, Mary Ellen Chesborough, Patrick Carroll, and Gary Stannard from the town of Alney will be joining the IDA board. So just want to welcome them when they start, and so their board term is effective as of April 1st, 2024. And this was done in collaboration and partnership with Oswego County Legislature.
So we'll be whole, these guys step down on the 31st, and you guys are appointed on the 1st.
Yep.
And we'll take care of them signing their oath cards at a meeting, pre-meeting, and we're gonna have a little orientation meeting for them before we have the meeting, so that they're not blindsided with any processes or procedures or anything like that coming into the meeting. And to get them on schedule to do their orientation with the state, with the ABO.
And I just want to thank too, just in my position coming in here over the last year and 3 months, Gary and Len and Barry, in terms of, I know you guys stuck around on the board maybe a little longer than you wanted, but I know you did it to try to help with that transition from Mike to me, and I appreciate all the assistance you guys have provided and guidance in terms of trying to keep a steady ship here at the IDA and with Oswego County. So I really appreciate your efforts and the time that you served on this board. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Want to say anything?
Usually I do my Irish exit, which means it's 10:30, I gotta go home, my granddaughter's got a lacrosse game, so. But I just wanna thank everybody. This, right here, I'm gonna give this to my wife, she goes, oh, that's very nice, and put it in the closet with the rest of them and stuff. Because, but no, this is very much appreciated. And, what was it, 2 meetings ago, when I came in, you asked me if I was gonna be sad leaving the IDA. You know, I've been on the IDA 25 years, and it's been great. I'm not sad leaving, you know, it's time. We got a good young group of board members, we have a great new CEO, we've done a lot in the last 3 years as far as transitioning this board, and I'm confident moving forward, you guys are gonna do an excellent job, especially with the 3 new board members. Then you think back even farther back, you know, not so distant history, you know, more recent history, the work we did with the nuclear plants, everything, to keep this county funded, to keep it moving. Like Len said, a lot of the stuff goes unnoticed, it goes under the radar. The work that Mike Treadwell did, which Mike put in a lot of time, he'd be here weekends working. Austin's picked up the ball, and he's done a very good job. Kevin LaMontagne was one of our best hires. Well, and you, and Kevin Caracoli also, and Norm left. So we've got a great staff, we got great board members, we have an excellent new CEO, so is there a reason to be sad? No, it's good. You guys are gonna do a great job, and you know, if there's anything I can do or Len can do, any questions, whatever, you know, just give us a call. Because even though your term's done on the IDA, you're not leaving.
You guys will always be part of the IDA.
Ask Carolyn.
Oh, yeah.
She still gets phone calls.
She got phone calls from me quite a bit, so thank you.
So I think at this time we just need to schedule our next meeting.
I'm not doing that.
One thing I do want to say is that the Town of Scruple Planning Board meets on April 24th, and there are a couple projects that are associated with the IDA, both the expansion of the industrial park as well as the ACLS project that are on the agenda for that. So I would say we should have a meeting after that date so that we could potentially take that information into consideration at that meeting. So. It could be the Thursday the 25th or the following week. Don't know.
Thursday the 25th works for me.
I can't do Monday the 29th.
Okay.
Thursday works for me.
I'm
Okay.
on vacation all that week.
Okay.
Spring break.
It's spring break for
Is it? Okay.
Kids don't have school.
What about
30th.
Tuesday the 30th is EDP? That wouldn't work. Thursday, we could do Thursday the 25th. Potentially look at Friday the 26th. I know Friday's not a great date for a meeting, but, or we could do you said Monday the 29th doesn't work for you, right?
Let me see.
I can't make Monday the 29th.
Okay.
No,
I can make the 30th.
I can make the 30th.
You said there's an EDP meeting, right?
There's an EDP meeting in the morning, we could potentially have a meeting in the afternoon, if that works.
I could do the afternoon.
Works for me.
If there's an EDP meeting, then there's a health committee meeting that I'm on at 11. So, you do one.
We wanna switch it up and do an afternoon meeting? It's gonna throw everybody off if we do that.
Do we still want muffins?
I would say that.
Not without Gary here.
Yeah,
I
right.
have to switch that one up a little.
So,
Wow.
do we wanna look at doing, like, say, at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, April 30th?
Works for me. Sure.
Okay. Good, we're just making all sorts of changes when you guys come out of here.
You know, I know it, and here, you know, I've been retired and these 8:30 meetings are tough.
Now
you
now
wanna-
Okay.
Is this gonna be a lunch meeting?
What's that?
That gonna be a lunch meeting?
Oh, look at that.
We could have some stuff for lunch. I mean, we could have some food on the side.
I'm gonna be coming right from another
Yeah,
meeting
maybe
here.
we'll
I
get
gotta
some,
eat a big breakfast or I got.
We'll get some of those baked stuff.
We'll get some subs cut up.
Ooh,
We'll do that.
Look at
I know, Gary's like,
Just celebrate Gary's retirement.
Want some salads, some subs.
You're welcome to come, Gary.
A couple bottles of wine.
A couple bottles of wine.
We'll break the new people in right.
Sure.
That sounds
Okay, so we've got the time and date set. Motion to adjourn.
Do we have to do
So moved.
approval
Hi,
of
Chris.
resignations? Motion approval of resignations.
I mean, you can, I don't, you know, the resignation is specific to the person, the public officer. There's no requirement to accept it, it's their choice, but you can recognize and accept the resignation.
Okay.
Resignations.
And I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good catch, Trish.
Opposed? You opposed to that, Gary?
I was just gonna say,
This was
this was Glenn's
This is
chance,
chance.
it was his chance, really.
Motion carries.
Then we need to do a motion to adjourn.
Gary, can we motion to adjourn? We'll let Len second that.
Well, you can't right now, right?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Well, they're not effective.
Thank you, everybody.
Until 30.
There's,